Let's go race an orange car. Hello, welcome to Bad at Board Games. My name is Brad Lake, and I'm bad at board games, so you don't have to be. Today we're going to be talking about heat, heavy rain, rain of the heavies. Had heavy rain last night, lots of thunderstorms. Indianapolis 500 was yesterday. Fitting, they had a rain delay. So all of this is working together, even though I got this a few weeks ago, just now talking about it. Stick around if you want to find out my BGG rating of this, pros and cons, value rating. Is this worth your money? How does it compare to the original game? Is this essential or not? And who this is for? And if you like it enough, hit that little subscribe button. We're almost 4,000 people. Woohoo! So this is from Days of Wonder, and it is designed by some people. I thought I wrote it down. Asger Grenrud, I butchering his name, and then we have Daniel Peterson. So that one's more of an American name. I can pronounce that one. Asger, I apologize for butchering your last name. Days of Wonder, this hit the market and sold out and was like, all the hype, all the heat. Haha. It was on the top. Hotness. And so, people wanted it and then they couldn't get it. It was actually, like everybody's kind of saying like, oh, this was Days of Wonder's return to the old days, actually making good games instead of garbage. So how does this little guy hold up now? See how thin this box is? There's a little bit in here. So wrap your mind around that. It's not like a big giant expansion. What do you get in this? You get this board. It's a two-sided. You get a track in Mexico and a track in Japan. You get an orange card player board. You get some more heat cards, which you already have a ton of. You have more stress cards, which you already have a ton of. In this box, you get 7 of these sponsorship cards, and you'll get these as you go through different corners at certain speeds. And then you're going to get 12 of these cards that go into the drafting deck. And if you know, like this is not a lot of cards considering it would end up in this deck. So I'll talk about that in the pros and cons. Talked about the board, talked about the car. You do get some for the when you're doing like the events and the seasons, you'll get 4 more cards that like tell you how to set up the track and so forth for that. And then you get the orange cards, the basic orange cards, so you can add another card to everything. So that's kind of it. And then, here's the rules. You got about as minimalist as you can get. They're not trying to add tons and tons and tons to this game. The theme, old school racing. You want to think, if you like Formula One, if you like IndyCar, this is kind of, the precursor to all of that. And I feel like this game gives you that racing, how you think racing should feel, like going through corners and taking heat and spinning out and all those kinds of things. And that's one of the reasons I like it. It's not technical where you're trying to, do a simulator kind of game where those get difficult. It's kind of like, I heard somebody say it's like arcade racing for a board game. Now, I think this is better than Pole Position ever was, but for those of you who know, Um, but that's the theme. And then mechanics, you have hand management. You're going to get a deck of cards, and you're going to be drawing up to 7 um, every turn. And then they say deck building, but I'm going to say it's situational deck building. You're going to be able to get a sponsorship card if you go around a corner at +2 speed, and it's got to be the correct corner, and then you'll get to add 1, maybe 2 cards with this expansion into your deck. So you're really not building your deck. Um, you're just trying to hand manage and move things through to try to get the cards you want, depending on which section of the track you're on. And then there's drafting, which is optional. So you can either start, they have just, a certain stack of cards that if you don't want to draft, this is what you get, and you just go out and play the game. Makes it easy, makes it fast to set up. If you want to draft, then you start getting, I think, these cooler cards. You're going to draft some of these. You're never going to get through all these, but these just, I find them more interesting, make the game more interesting. Everybody's going to have a little bit of different powers. You're going to have, I think everybody gets the same cards, but then you draft 4 of these special cards on top of it. So somebody might have gone for, being able to go around corners better, or somebody might have gone like, I'm just going to try to go to the straightaway as fast as I can because I saw that +7. So I enjoy that part of the game as well. And then there's definitely the push your luck. So when you're trying to go through a corner at speed 5, and you're like, I have to draw 3 cards, and I don't know. You have these cards that, like, mystery cards. They call it stress, and so you have to like flip over cards for every stress one you put down. And if you flip over a card that makes you go too fast, then you blow the corner. And yeah, fun. But there definitely is this push your luck aspect to this game. Do you sit back and not try to go through, and then everybody races past you, or are you going to try to go and have no heat on your engine, and then when you need heat later, you can't do anything. It's that I think is the best part of the game, is that whole tension with trying not to spin out in the corner and everybody leaving you behind. Player count. This is one of the few games that can play, like now it can play up to 7. You can have 7 people play this game. This, I recommend, no matter what player count you're using, use the Autonoma to play up to 6 cards at once. The Autonoma is extremely easy-ish. There's something complicated to wrap your brain around. There's certain lines that the Autonoma will either just always go forward like 13 spaces, or if they're past a certain line on different parts of the track, then they're only going to go a shorter distance. But there's something about that gets a little bit complicated. It's just trying to wrap your mind around it. I did do a how to play video. It was one of my attempts to how to play. Tried to talk about that a little bit better. So that might be something you would be interested in. Didn't get everything right on some of the other rules, but some people commented down in there. But I did believe I got the Autonoma right. I think. Time to play. Oh, and this can't play solo. I enjoy playing this solo because you're using the Autonoma, whether you're playing 2 people or you're playing 3 people. You're always playing 6, trying to fill out with the Autonoma. You can play 1, and the rest of them can be Autonoma, and it feels the same. It feels like you're playing against other players, which is great. Time to play, you're looking between 30 and 60 minutes. The Autonoma doesn't slow things down. I keep talking about that. But depending on how many laps you have to go around the track, it's in that 30 to 60 minutes. Probably plus or minus 45 minutes per track as you're going. So on your turn, what does a turn look like? It has iconography for each section of your turn. The first thing you're going to do is take your gear and put it in a certain position: first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear. You're going to have heat depending on if you move up 2 slots, or you're going to take a heat. If you move down 1 or up 1, you don't take any heat, except with this expansion that changes a little bit. And then once everybody selects their gear position, then everybody's going to, flip over their cards. And so if you're in gear 1, you're going to flip over 1 card, gear 2, 2 cards, gear 3, 3 cards, 4, 4 cards, and there's not a gear 5. These cards were too old. And then you're going to move your little car around the track to the next spot. And then that can trigger things like you might be able to draft somebody depending on where you end up. If you're in last place or second to last place, you get to move 1 extra and you get a cooldown. It's trying to help you because you're in last. I've been there. Then the next section is you're going to be able to do the different icons, and you can do this in any order. You can do stress, cooldown, heat, and they did this ... for like the expansions and some other things that happen during this step 6. This game has like some extra cooling that's potentially available to you. And then after that, you do have I said drafting, but drafting actually comes in this step where you get to draft around a car. And then you pay for your heat, which is nice because over here you're able to get cooling, and then you might be able to pay for it in this section where you're going around a corner faster than the corner speed. And then you're going to be able to discard. You can discard your whole hand. So this is the one thing that like will help you with this game is not keeping the cards you have, looking at what's coming up, what cards have you used, what cards are you hoping to get. You can discard your whole hand and draw back up to 7 if you want, or keep 1 card. However, there's a caveat with that. If you have stress cards or heat cards, you can't discard those. So those end up being your junk cards that you want to get rid of as you're playing the game. And you think heat's bad, but you almost want heat because it allows you to do extra daring moves as you go through. So, the pro of this game. So this, just in general, I think this is a fun game. It's not hard to learn. There are some nuances to it, so I think the rules could be written better. I know some people are like, it's exactly how it was read. It plays exactly how it's written. However, I don't think it's clear. At least I think in some translations from I think this is French, from France to English, it is not. There's just some nuances that I think could have been cleared up. So check out, a good how to play to understand like some of the setup things, how some of the AI move, a couple things like that are going to help you. And then the pro about this, is this an essential expansion? We'll talk about it in a bit, but I like the Japan map. So this whole thing is predicated on these sections here where they have water, like standing water in the tracks, and they've got, over here you've got a chicane. Yes. So a couple things about this expansion really is you've got this water section, and then you now have chicanes, and a chicane is a 2-corner back-to-back turn that this is essentially what you're getting with this expansion. You're getting these cards, you're getting 2 new tracks, and one of the tracks has water on it, which is strange to me, considering the whole thing's called Heavy Rain. But I really enjoy this. This section here, what it changes for you is if you're downshifting, think of it as you're sliding and you need to downshift and go slower, you will still pay a heat. Normally you don't pay a heat to move down 1. If you're in the water and you downshift, you will pay 1 heat to go through that, on top of any corners. And then if you draw a special weather token for this corner, it's going to affect both of these. So if you have a -1 in this section of the track, it'll be a 3-corner and a 3-corner. Or if it's a +1, it would be a 5 and a 5. So that's the new mechanic. And then for the Autonoma, they have some of these arrows, and you won't be able to see them, that are on these 3 spots here on the chicanes only. That allows, normally the Autonoma can't move through 2 corners, right? It it can only move through one. It's kind of to manage the Autonoma so that they just don't blow you out, and they're tough enough as it is. But in this case, it allows the Autonoma to go through the chicane, and it doesn't overpower the game, but it lets them, like, if it didn't, you would always beat the Autonoma. It wouldn't even come close. So by allowing the Autonoma to get through 2 turns, it keeps up and keeps it interesting and keeps things going. So I do like that. That's definitely a pro. I think this game has everything that Heat did before it. I like that new mechanic. I think that's kind of interesting, and I enjoyed that part to it. And other than my normal pros, you can go watch the other video. Like, I have a lot of great things to say about this game. I've played it. I don't know. I may have 50 plays of this, maybe 30. I don't know. I've got a lot of plays of it in. This was like a 9 rating for me when I have it. I would say, I've played it so much now, maybe sitting at an 8. But we'll get to my BGG rating. But that's just to say, like, you play a game enough, and it's like, is it going down? Is it going up? I would say, I don't think it's ever going to go like down to a 7 or 6 or 5. But it's like I've enjoyed my plays of this, and I still don't mind bringing it out anytime somebody wants to play it. I enjoy the game. All that to say, let's move on to cons. So my con is, on the other side of this map, is Mexico. And you will notice, or you may not notice, there's no water. So this is my biggest complaint with this game. As I try to fold this back up, it's a heavy rain expansion, and they gave us a track without water. I liked this new mechanic, and then on the Mexico side, all they did was Mexico is, like, I think, the hardest track out of all of these. They just gave you the toughest track because it takes away heat, and it's hot, and then if you take a weather card, that makes it worse. Like, Mexico's tough. It's just, I think it's probably tougher. I don't know if it's France. I think it's the toughest one in the base set. I'm drawing a blank, but Mexico was almost not fun. Like, and it could have been the weather conditions we got with it, but it, like, I wanted more of this water section. I wanted to, enjoy these cards, but these don't do anything. Well, I shouldn't say they don't do anything. They still do something, but I still wanted that. These cards, to me, don't make this expansion. And to me, having rain or water on the track makes the expansion. And to explain what this one little new icon mechanic thing does is, when you draw this card, you're able to take heat out of your discard pile, which you normally don't do. Normally it has to be, like, out of your hand, and put it back on your engine block. So this is nice because, you're able to bypass it going back into your deck and becoming a junk card in your hand. When you draw one of these, you can put it back on your engine just by having that. Now, the other con, and I guess that's a pro. Sorry. A little all over the place, but trying to stay compartmentalized. The other con I have, and I put them here, is that if you're using a full deck, look, there's hardly any card. If you use this the way it's intended, let's say, you're never going to pull these. So what Toph and I did was we took about half of these. We made these new cards at least a third of this. So we were more likely going to be able to get some of these during the draft. We wanted to play with these. I would recommend that if you are going to play with this. I would say, make sure that these cards are, in an area where you're likely to draw them, or use a smaller hand size, because you've only got 12 of these. So, maybe you only use 50 cards instead of the, I don't know, however many this is a lot to help you. So that's kind of a con. We enjoyed it by being able to have a few of these. We didn't get loaded up with these in our hands, but just having one or two in our hand was fun, and it added to the game, and really enjoyed it. But on the downside, it's like, I want tracks with rain. I want to be able to draw more of these cards because they're cool, and add to that system. So, pros and cons there. Not enough cards, or if you're going to adjust it so that you can, actually draw those cards as you go through. So, weight rating. This is a 2.19 on BGG. How many people have rated this game? Let's see if we can get the mouse to work. All right, we have. It's got to be more than that. Not a lot of people. Oh, so wait a minute. I'm going to look at heat. So they're saying the base game is a 2.19, and we've got 638 people have voted for it. Most people don't do the weight rating. Most people are just doing the game rating, so to speak. I agree with that. I don't think it's a 2.5. I think the rules are a little bit clunky in some aspects, which I've talked about, which may make it feel like it's a 2.5. like there's just a couple of mechanisms in here. Like I said, I struggled with getting the wording right and understanding where they were trying to talk about it. I think if they'd have just given us some examples, add a couple pages to the instructions, that would have been nice. So yeah, this is in the 2 range. It's not under a 2, but it's probably not a 2.5 after you understand that. I think some people still struggle with it, trying to understand that, like, you want to get rid of your cards, you want to use heat, things like that, but that's more strategic versus like being able to play the game, versus being able to play the game well. Value rating, you can get this from 35 to 45 or 33 to 45. You can pick them up on eBay. This isn't like hard, I'm not sure if it's easy or hard to get. I'm just looking at BGGs where they have people selling it. Looks like Amazon saying, where is it on Amazon? Yeah, I'm not sure how available this one's going to be. But there's like on eBay, you can get it for $33 if you want it used. And then, Zulu is saying 35. This place is 45. Europe is 35 euros. So I think it's available. It shouldn't be like the other heat where you couldn't get it. I think you can get this pretty regularly now as well. This is in that 65 range. But I think for the price, I think this is a 3 out of 5. Like I didn't feel like, I thought this was going to be essential. I thought this was just going to be, I don't know if I thought it'd be game changing. I was really, 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 really hyped for it. And I think it's heat plus, right? It's not heat minus for sure. It definitely doesn't make it worse. If you want more of heat, now you have a different track, which is nice. And I really like the track in Japan. I probably like it better than a couple of the tracks in the base game. The Mexico track I didn't enjoy. Need to play it a few more times, but I'm not sure that one's going to be one that I choose to play very often. But we'll see. I think it could depend on what kind of weather cards you draw, but in the end, it wasn't as much fun as Japan, I found. So 3 out of 5. $33, $35. If you're getting up to 50 or 60, if you're seeing people try to sell it for higher, don't go. Just play with the base game. You're not missing out that much. My BGG rating for this. So BGG for Heavy Rain, and I keep losing my mouse pointer. They're saying 7.8. They've got only 536 people have rated it, compared to, this shows you expansions, right? And it hasn't been out as long. 22,000 people have rated this one. So 22,000 people say the base game is an 8.1, and then 536 people say the expansion is a 7.8. So that's one of a couple things. People are getting this and they're not all that excited about going on BGG and rating it, which is warning, or that many people haven't gotten it yet. I'm not sure which. I pre-ordered this. I mean, I know other people pre-ordered this, so I think this got out there. So I'm just kind of curious, as people are just kind of like, it wasn't groundbreaking as like, oh, we already got this one, and then this one just added something, right? So it didn't really change the game that much. My BGG rating of the expansion, I'm gonna say it's an 8. Now Heat, the base game, 9, 10. Like, I really enjoyed this game. It's on its way down, so if I rated it a 10 before, it'd be a 9. If it was a 9 before, I'd say it's an 8. I think this is on par with Heat. You're not going to hate it. I don't think you're going to love it anymore. I like this mechanic where you get to take something off your discard pile and put it back on your engine. Really enjoy that. Not sure there's enough cards, when you have giant stacks of cards that they're going to get lost in. So I almost wish there was more of those that you could put into the deck. Really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed the track from Japan. So to me, it's an 8. Really was disappointed with the Mexico track. I think this could be like a 9 if both tracks had been, had the water and things like that. But I'm a kind of a fanboy of Heat, so you got to take that with a grain of salt. You may be a whole point down. Like, if I think it's an 8 or 9, you may think it's a 7 or an 8, maybe. Or this may not be for you. Some people just don't enjoy this game. I also like racing, so all those things factor that into your decisions. So who's this for? Do you like racing? Do you want a game that can play 6 or 7 people? Granted, you have to have the expansion for 7. Do you want something that's kind of easy to teach? All those kind of things. I think this is for you people that like those things. Now, it's still not like, it's not Cards Against Humanity. I don't think this is like, you still have to be a gamer. And if you're watching my channel, you're a board gamer. The people that need to play, retail games versus playing something that's more of a hobbyist game. This is still a hobbyist game. It's that 2 weight rating. If you know somebody that likes racing, this might be something you can get them in to be like, hey, let's play this game. Those are the kind of things that seem to hum with people. Toph doesn't like racing. He still loves this game, although he's a big game board hobbyist. So it's quite the spectrum of people that may or may not like this. They may like the mechanic. They may like the theme. I like the theme and the mechanic. So this is kind of a hard one to tell you, like, who's it specifically for. I think it has a broad spectrum of people who it's for, but you still have to understand your niche. It's going to help you if you enjoy the theme. And then, what do you think? Did you end up getting Heat? Have you played it on BGA? BGA is not too bad, but it takes time when you're doing it on BGA, because I don't play it in real time. I play it on turn-based. So when you have like 6 people playing, it can take a while. And I lost in the last race, in the last track. But I enjoy that game. So does this new expansion sound like something you would be interested in, or it's like, $33, I'll pass. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I got it. I'm glad it's in the arsenal when I get to pull this out and play it. Definitely not disappointed in it. Just also not like mind blown. Oh, I got it. It's Barrage Lay Water expansion. Must have. This, not a must have, because it didn't change mechanics in the way that like Barrage Lay Water did. But if you want more of a good thing, get an extra. You can play 7 players now, and you get an extra track. So, let me know what you think. If you've played it, if you've got it, if you want it, if you don't want it now. All those things. Always curious. And just remember, stick around with me. I'm going to try to keep getting these done. I know videos have been a little bit slow, but we'll keep plugging away at it. So just remember, no matter how you play, Whether it's solo, with family, or friends, enjoy whatever you are bringing to the table. Have a great night.